Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Happy playoff
Divisional weekend.
divisional weekend Saturday. I am sports family therapist and Cowboys fan extraordinaire, Dr. Lauren D. Fitz. That's my amazing co-host.
Don't worry, y'all. Don't worry, y'all. Don't worry. We don't have a full-blown conversation about this. You know, my grandma had a saying.
That's why his
What
brain
don't
look like it's coming out the top of his head because Zoom is still acting crazy. Zoom is still, so y'all know Zoom is acting crazy, but we gonna make it do what it do. It's okay. Go ahead, Ron.
we all about adjusting and audibling over here at House Talk pregame. So we do what we got to do. But my grandma had a saying. What don't come out in the wash will sure enough come out in the rinse. So
Can I tell them that ignorant mess that you did to me last week? So look, y'all. So I'm sitting there minding my own business because I'm not a trash talker. I'm minding my own business, getting ready for the game. And who do I get a text from with a video attached? But my amazing co-host, where he has already started to corrupt his 1.5-year-old son. And he says, Eli, are the Cowboys going to lose today? And Eli says, yes, and throws himself on the couch. Really? That's what we're doing? And he's laughing just like he's doing, just ignorance. Who teaches their 1.5-year-old child to be ignorant already? He could have at least waited till he was 5 and started school. But no, he teaching the baby bad habits already. I'm piling Child Protective Services on you.
Hey, look,
ignorance.
Sometimes it's just in them, like it's crazy because like he knows exactly what I'm asking, because if I ask him like, do you want to go to sleep? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? He don't answer. But for something in his new spirit, his new soul, only 1.5 years old, like soul just got here. Ain't even an old soul, it's a young, brand new soul.
Yeah, brand new for after presses.
Something just touched his spirit to just yell out, yeah, the moment I asked that question. Now, I didn't force him to say yeah. I didn't egg him on to say yeah. I didn't have like no little treat to the side or his papa in my hand. He took his papa out and said, yeah, and put it right.
He's lying. He coached that baby to be rude to me. And all I've ever done is show them love. But it's okay. It's okay. It's all right. It's okay.
Man, well, we got a great divisional weekend set. I'm excited for the football this weekend. I'm liking the matchups. Yeah. I think. Do you know that the remaining 8 quarterbacks in the playoffs right now are all under the age of 30?
Are they?
The new generation of gunslingers is officially here.
Yeah.
I think Patrick Mahomes is the oldest, and he's 29.
Well, yeah, and then it's Dak, and then all the rest.
No, I'm sorry, I think Dak is 29.
Dak is 28. 29, and then Patrick Mahomes, and then the other way.
Yeah, then the rest of So I'm excited. We got some real good football here this weekend. Yeah. I've already let Dr. Pitt's husband know that her team is on the clock tonight.
His team. My team don't play till tomorrow.
Yeah. Her team don't play tomorrow. But we're not gonna get into that. We're not gonna get into that too much. We're not gonna do nothing. Sip from your little cup if your cup runneth over. Ooh,
I just spilled it. Can't clean it up till after the show. Oops.
I hope Dak don't spill the ball tomorrow.
Yeah, you act just ignorant and black all your life.
I gotta let people know I'm black in many ways. All right,
You're simple in many ways.
My half-white compadres, they acknowledge me, but sometimes Ronnie, they don't invite me to the meetings.
I'm gonna wipe it up with my towel. Can you see?
That's about all that's good for is cleaning up messes. That's about it.
Don't do that.
Well, don't do it. Y'all, we have actually a really kind of cool and interesting topic today. I don't think we've done this one before to my recollection.
No, we haven't.
We're talking about sports myths today. a lot of times people, they have a lot of wild conspiracies and thoughts about, sports and what it takes to be good at this and what you should do with that and everything. Everybody's a coach, everybody's a trainer, everybody's a guru at something related to sports. So we're going to be talking about some sports, some sports myths and some theories and whatnot that have been floating around there. And, just kind of have a conversation about it. Today's kind of a,
laid back, chill kind of topic.
Yeah, kind of like a
ain't heavy,
feng
we ain't making
shui
it
type
heavy.
of, kind of a feng shui woo-sa, kind of like that, nothing too crazy today. We're not getting too controversial, I don't think, like for example, they said the real reason Michael Jordan retired after the 93 season was because he owed a lot of money to some gamblers, and the NBA said you got to go sit down. But hey, we're not gonna get into all that today. That's a little bit out there, but we're gonna talk about some things, and also, what it takes to be, the best, athlete that you can possibly be, as far as training, preparation, things like that. Some myths around that, and also some good things that you can actually, hold on to and use for your, for your athletes out there. So I like today's topic. We haven't done this one before. A lot of times, we always got to come on here and, be semi-serious and everything. Semi-serious, because you're the serious one, I'm the semi one. So
what's so funny about that is that my husband says that he wondered what people would do if they knew that I really didn't have no sense. He says it all the time. He was like, "You so serious." He said, "You so serious all the time." He said, "What do you think your clients would say, or if your audience knew that you really have no sense?" And I was like, "Why would you say that?" Because it's the truth.
See, majority of my client population is kids. So my kid clients know I'm a big ass kid, and I let that be known in the first session. Like I'm just a bigger kid than you. I'm a bigger kid with a little bit
with
more
your inner
toys.
child.
Yeah. I'm all the way into my inner child.
Wow.
The inner child, the savior teen, all them things. I'm in tune with all of them. You know what? Because Ronnie love the kids. Kids need love too. Like Frederick Douglass said, it's easier to repair a wounded child than a broken man. So
that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
So
I'm a 55-year-old big kid too, but time and place for everything. My family knows.
And today's the first day of the most wonderful time of the year. It's Aquarius season. Shout out to all my fellow Aquariuses out there. It's our time between now and February 21st. So we're gonna do what we gotta do. The other zodiac signs mean nothing between now and next month. But shout out to my Geminis and Libras. Well, not to my Libras, I don't really get along with Libras like that. But shout out to my Geminis out there. I don't have no issues with Geminis. Y'all get a terrible rep like we do. We get called all these.
I'm married to a Gemini.
Shout out to all my Geminis. We're gonna hold it down. We're gonna hold on. Is Eric a May or June Gemini?
He is a May.
He
is a May Gemini.
Okay. Well, so let me preface this a little bit more specifically. So, there is a vast difference. You might recognize this, when I paint this. So I always say, like, because how like the zodiacs, the dates start like at the end of a month and go between the beginning of the next month, right? So, for example, my January Aquarius is right. My brethren and sisters.
That's my mommy. My mom's birthday's on Thursday.
She's a January Aquarius?
Yes.
So you might agree with this. So what I've noticed is that when the new zodiac, dates start and everything for each zodiac sign, the first half, I like to call them the emotional ones, right? So my January Aquarius is from January 21st through the 31st, that group of people right there, they tend to be more on the, emotional side, meaning that, they're a little bit more, they lead with their emotions a little bit more, right?
I don't know something to
that. The back half from the 1st through the 20th, right? That back half of the zodiac, we get kind of called more of the stoic, more in your face, matter of fact, blunt.
Yeah.
So
that part right there.
So when you say Eric is a May Gemini, May Geminis, Geminis have a very, I don't know why. My son's a Gemini.
Well, so his birthday is May 22nd, Ronnie. So
he right on the cusp.
So from May 22nd until, what's the end date for Geminis?
I think June 21st.
Okay. So from like May 22nd to like June the 12th, he's Eric. From June the 13th to June the 21st, he's Reginald. And depending on
who's Reginald?
That's his middle name. That's his evil twin.
Oh, okay.
His evil twin is Reginald. Look, his dad, that was his dad's name. So dependent upon what's going on, if his inner Reggie comes out, that's a problem. People don't know, because I'm telling you, because people think that he hear me talking about him. People think he's really, 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 really passive, and I'm like, no, passive aggressive. He's not. Passive aggressive people, some of the craziest people on the face of the earth. He's not passive. He's passive aggressive, and it's I'm just
Geminis possess that skill very well. My son
and Dr. Maiden's a Gemini. Dr. Maiden's birthday is June the 9th, and we already know it's like
I knew
half, he's Brian, and the other half he's Scott. That's his middle name, Brian Scott. It all depends on you get Brian or you get Scott.
I knew me and Dr. Maiden was like that. I couldn't figure out why, but I knew it. But yeah, so for people out there listening, now I'm not judging. I'm just giving an observation that I made. That typically the first half of the zodiacs, that little emotional, just a little bit. That back half. See, I'm a February Aquarius, so I get called all types of unemotional, just an a-hole, rude,
flat affect having, dismissive, avoiding, insecure attachment style having, no cold, rigid, disconnected, unfeeling having, all those clinical tips.
Yeah, and I'm just like, is it that, or is it that I'm so well versed in my emotions that sometimes it don't even require an emotional response?
Do you have a high EQ, Ronnie, in your opinion?
I do now. And if you'd asked me like maybe, I'll put it to you like this: 29-year-old Ronnie and 19-year-old Ronnie, vastly different. Vastly. 19-year-old Ronnie was very emotional and very I wasn't impulsive per se, but I was gonna speak my mind on my emotions more so than not. 29-year-old Ronnie, way more reserved. If you get a reaction out of me, you probably deserve it. I'll put it to you like that.
Can we start there, Ronnie? Can we debunk the myth around, and I want to zero in on this myth, and I don't know, I guess probably to a degree it's applicable for men across all ethnic groups, but I know that it's definitely applicable among Black and brown men. And that myth is that for men, if you show emotion, you're weak. Speak to that.
Oh man. Well, I preach that every day. So so let me provide a little context to that. So my father is a baby boomer, mid baby boomer too, born in the mid 50s and everything. Black man, like I'm talking about, like me and him, like day and night. Like I'm about as light skinned, white as you can be, black, like just blickety black,
So disrespectful. So you got to let people know so that they don't think that you're being ignorant. He is biracial. Ronnie is
biracial. People. I'm too white for the Black kids. I'm too Black for the white kids. All right, that's how I try to describe it. I'm just in the middle. I'm a panda bear, just not Chinese. But if I smile, I look. So hey. But so growing up, one of the things that I never really saw from my dad was emotions. The only emotion that I used to always see my dad really express very well was anger. And I think a lot of times, especially Black men and Black women, they get this, well, the only emotion y'all ever seem to be good at is expressing anger, right? You know, so for me though, I was kind of the opposite. You know, I was a very emotional kid. Like, you know, if I was upset, I was gonna cry. If I was mad, I would be mad. If I was happy, be all over the place. So I wore my emotions on my sleeve, as some might say. And I never forget it. Like, I remember the first football game, my first year playing football, we lost in the second round of the playoffs. And I cried like a baby. Like, I mean, I was boo crying. You know, you'd have thought I lost somebody or something. And, you know, my dad simply was just like, what you crying for? You lost the game. You'll be back next year. Kept it pushing. I'm just like,
he don't
what's
understand.
all that crying? You know, like, crying was not something that my dad really, you know, really
Subscribe
handled
to.
with. Yeah, like, I've never seen my dad cry a day in his life. Never.
Wow.
Not at his
Never.
dad. I've never seen my dad shed a tear.
Wow.
Never. And, you know, I know we're not supposed to say never. In 29 and 11 months and some change, I've never seen my dad shed one tear.
Wow. Wow.
And, you know, like, so for me, and there was a period for a long, I tell people there was a period of about 8 years I didn't shed a tear.
Wow.
You know, like, I didn't cry. I just held it in, just kept it to myself, because I was conditioned to believe that men who express their emotions, you were weak, you were emotional, you were, you know, the P word, you know, you was, you know, soft and all those other type of things. And it wasn't until you know, I got older and I, you know, started to really get into the field of mental health and stuff like that. And one of the things that I make it a priority, especially when I have young male clients, is the first thing I tell them is the most bravest men in the world, the most courageous, strong men in the world are those who are in tune with their emotions. I always tell people, if we weren't given the ability to cry, we wouldn't have it. See, the amazing thing about our bodies and evolution and things like that is that over the billion, well, not billion, because humans ain't been around billions of years, but about the 100,000 years that humans have been around, our bodies have biologically adapted to our needs, right? You know, this human physical body that we have here is tuned and designed to withstand a lot of things. But I always tell people, our emotions are like when you get a brand new car that has all the bells and whistles. They're indicators, they're notifications, they are alerts, they're alarm systems within us to let us know what we're perceiving, what we're experiencing, what we're seeing, doing, hearing, all those things that our five senses intake and process all the time. Our feelings are the indicator for us to know, like, oh, okay, I should be mad in this situation, or oh man, man, that's really sad. Like, so, and I always tell people, you know, a weak man is somebody who ignores and refuses to acknowledge their feelings. You know, it takes more strength to bottle up your emotions than it does to let them out. And, you know, I think it's a detriment in our society today, because we have a lot of, and I just speak for men. I'm not going to speak for women because I'm not one, but for men, we have a lot of disgruntled, pissed off, tired, overstimulated, you know, just under appreciated men. One, because they all of them, majority of them have a very hard time recognizing the emotions they're feeling, and more importantly, why they're feeling them.
That's good, Ronnie. And one of the things that I say, and I want to piggyback on that from a clinical perspective too. You know, I literally just said this earlier this week because my caseload is couples heavy right now. And one of those common themes that keeps coming up is a lack of emotional availability and people having a very low EQ. And for folks that don't know, so your EQ is your emotional quotient. You know, your intelligence, your IQ is your intelligence quotient. Well, for us clinically, your EQ is your emotional quotient, or in other words, your emotional intelligence. So what I'm seeing a lot in the couples that I serve is that there's this discrepancy where emotional availability is concerned. People, and it's not just the men, it's them too. It's an issue across the board. And the interpretation of what it means to show emotion. And I believe that there's a cultural stigma that we face as Black and brown persons connected to what it means to openly discuss your feelings. And
Can I throw this in there real quick and
yeah,
get you to elaborate on this?
Yeah, go ahead.
One I'll speak, and I want you to speak from the female perspective on this, because
Sure.
I think your answer can be very clarifying for a lot of people. When you talk about couples and everything, and you talk about the men being emotionally unavailable within the realm of a relationship. So I'm married, been in a relationship for coming up on 9 years now. And so sometimes my wife, I don't think she'll mind me sharing this. Sometimes my wife will say that I'm emotionless. And when I hear her say that, in my mind, I always kind of chuckle a little bit, because I'm just like, me? Like, I'm pretty emotional person. Like, 9 times out of 10, you probably have a good idea of how I'm feeling in that moment. But one of the things that I've learned through talking to other men and listening to other men and things like that is, oftentimes I think why men are perceived as emotionless or emotionally unavailable within relationships is that oftentimes we don't feel comfortable enough sharing vulnerable emotions with our partners, because by nature, women are warriors.
Can I pause
too.
you right there for a minute? Because
Go
I
ahead.
want to I just want to add this. So folks, what he just said is, and I say this to my clients, I have female clients that get pissed off at me almost every day. I said, why is he not talking to you? He's not talking to you because you're not creating an emotionally safe space for him to do so. Who wants to be vulnerable and transparent with somebody who's and clapping back all the time? Don't nobody want to do that.
Right.
Nobody gonna talk to you. Y'all will shut down every single solitary time if, when you open your mouth, we're ripping your head off. I wouldn't talk. Go ahead.
and a lot of times that's the reason, because I think, and I'm not trying to be over generalizing or anything like this, but I'm just speaking from personal experience and just talking to a lot of couples and men and women and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think for us as men, we like to keep things very simple. Like we're fixers by nature. If there's an issue, we're gonna figure out how to fix it. Like, we don't dwell on it, we don't worry about it, we don't allow it to ruin our day. If there's something wrong, we fix. That's what we do. I think a lot of times, females, more times than not, when there's an issue that arises, they worry, they panic, they get doubtful, they get worried, concerned, all those type of things. One of the things that I've noticed within couples and just speaking with men and women is that sometimes women will allow their anxiety to come out in a way that is concerning to a man who expresses their emotions. And what I mean by that is, let's say, for example, let's say your man is going through a rough time, whether it's at work, whether it's just personal, whatever the case may be. They're just having a down moment. They're not feeling themselves. Like, things either at work are not going the right way. They're questioning the career path. They're questioning like what it means to be a man, or how I can protect and provide for my family. These are a lot of the things that
all of the above.
These are a lot of the things that we really think about as men. Like, how can we protect and provide our families? Am I doing everything in my career that I need to be doing? And just, who am I as a man? And those are really a lot of things that we struggle with as men, outside of, who better, LeBron or Michael Jordan, whatever the case may be. Like, but those are a lot of our biggest concerns. And I think a lot of times when we express that, it scares females, because I think above all else, and you tell me if I'm wrong, I think above all else, women want to know that they're safe and secure in their relationship. Meaning that if I see my man panic or worry, damn, I must got to panic and worry too, because he's panicking and worrying. Why is he worried? Why is he panicking? If he's panicking and worried, what's going to happen to me? What's going to happen to us? And a lot of times, as men, we'll just keep it to ourselves. Like if we're struggling with something, if we're bothered about something, or we're trying to figure something out, and it's got us perplexed, it's got us stuck or something like that, we'll just keep that in. Because I think a lot of times for us as men, it's like we have to be seen as strong so many times. It's like if I show you my vulnerability, if I'm vulnerable around you, you might hold that against me later in life. Or where it's like, when you need to know that everything is safe and secure, it's like, well, you was like this back then, how do I know everything's good? I don't need to be questioned. I got this. Let me figure it out.
Pause. And because because you asked for my female perspective, and I have to give you my female perspective as
Please
Dr.
do.
Lauren, but also as Lauren. So what I'm gonna put this disclaimer out there. I'm different, right? So you already have some insight that what I'm gonna say is probably not gonna be popular, but it's the truth. So here's part of the issue. Part of the issue is that this is the clinical part. Part of the issue is that there are a lot of people, not all, but there are a lot of people that are in relationships where the gender roles are reversed. So just metaphorically, you have the woman wearing the pants and the man wearing the skirt. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful. It's a metaphor. Just walk with me. So now you have this role reversal, right? And for many Black women, because of the disproportionate nature of what's going on in our communities with issues with incarceration, the download, like we have some key things that for a variety of reasons, there's these historic patterns where women are carrying the role of, or wearing the role of man and woman in the household, right? So then the problem becomes, Ronnie, when you are in a situation and you actually do have a strong man who's capable of providing, who's capable of guiding, who's capable of truly protecting and keeping the family safe. Now there's a problem because you have these women that have been in the habit of making the decisions. You have these women that have been in the habit of getting it done, and they don't trust that the man that they're in a relationship with is going to be able to take care of A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And oh, by the way, don't mess around and make a mistake and drop the ball somewhere, because now you're into what you said for a moment, that now it's hard to trust. And here's why it's hard to trust, because it goes, and I think I mentioned it last week, but I'm going to mention it again just to illustrate. So an activity that I talked about, the chain breaking activity, you have to look at the experiences that people have had that are evoking pain or fear. So in the context of the woman in the relationship, you have these women that many of which are from single parent home, not all, but a lot are from single parent homes. There might be a number of baby daddies. There's all of these different variables that we know that come into play that exist in our communities. I know it exists among white folks too, but right now we're talking about Black folks, so don't get in your feelings. We have these broken home situations going on, right? So you have these experiences that have evoked fear. The fear now, to your point, is the panic and the anxiety. What if we end up homeless? What if the lights get shut out? What if the car gets repossessed? What if we don't have no food? What if? And now you go one step further, and oh, by the way, now you have these negative emotions coming up, right? What these negative feelings about yourself. Did I pick the wrong man again? Did I go wrong by trusting him? Did I go wrong by us getting a joint bank account? What's wrong with me that I would think that I should, and all of those things, right? And then here's the major problem, Ronnie. Those experiences, those fears, those negative feelings about oneself informs how the woman is expressing herself and how she's acting. And now the last step is you have all this negative self-talk that's going on, right? You got them voices in your head that's telling you, I know this N-word, he wasn't S in the first place, and I don't know why I ever trusted him to manage our finances, and why I thought he was, I should have just did it myself, because you know I'm better. I'm gonna take care of these kids, I'm gonna get it done. I don't need no man for nothing. I want it, but I don't need it. And now we off to the races. And the problem is you got all this baggage from these current and historical issues that have evoked pain and fear, and your interpretation, Ron. The interpretation is the connector that says, oh, this just like it was when I was with Hakeem. This just like it was when I was Gerald. This just like it was when I was with Am. This just like it was when I was with Jerome. This just like it was when I was with Pete. No, boo. This Ronnie. And Ronnie ain't perfect, but Ronnie has been busting his behind to hold it down. Ronnie working 6 jobs. He Jamaica, come on. He doing the darn thing. And the hard part for people to recognize is, and this is what I say to my clients, Ronnie, is this, is this a cognitive, based on a cognitive distortion? Or is this based on reality? And how people can challenge that, how women can challenge. Is this my baggage? Is this my junk from before? Or has Ronnie consistently put us in a position where the car got repossessed, the house got foreclosed on, the lights got shut off, the cable bill got shut off, we ain't had no food, we had to go on food stamps, the baby ain't had no Pampers, the car ain't had no gas, and that list goes, oh damn, we ain't never been in that situation since I've been with Ronnie. So I'm acting as if he Hakeem.
And I think that's really important too. And I think I don't want this to sound sexist, but I'm gonna say it anyways. It's not, I'm not being sexist, but I think in any relationship, yes, you know, I think a woman should allow a man to lead, but not lead blindly.
That's wisdom right there. Because I say, I'll follow you, but I ain't following you to head. Or,
right. And I think
that's
going
important. Down with this shit.
And I think a lot of times, and I think a lot, and I'll speak to men on, because a lot of times when I think, see, I'm objective about myself. I know when I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and I know when I'm BSing, you know, like, so I've never been the type of person to run from constructive criticism or critique, especially in regards to being a man, because at the end of the day, I wholeheartedly believe that as a man, when I told my wife I do on August 5th, 2018, I didn't just say I do to be your husband. I said I do to be your provider, your protector, your lover, all those things. You know, at a moment's notice, if something hits the fan, I'm jumping out the window with no questions asked for my family and for my wife, because that's what I signed up to do.
Right.
We don't have it as a man. It's my job to go out there and get it. Like, I always tell people, like, now granted, me and my wife are not in no type of financial situation where, you know, like we can just, you know, go off and do whatever we want. But what I have always told people, my goal within my marriage, and this ain't for everybody, because this isn't, you know, one size fits all, but for me, the way I see it is that it's my job to provide a life and a space for my wife to, if she wants to work, if she wants to have a career, all means, do what you got to do. How can I help facilitate that?
Yeah.
It has never been my mindset, and it never will be my mindset, for my wife to have to be an equal provider alongside me, because that's just ass backwards.
Can I speak to that? Because I want to make sure, just in the instance of time, that we debunk some of these sports myths. But this is good. This is good. One of the things that, when you were saying that, I always think of Johnny Carson when his wife sued him. He had the 300 million, right? But I think about that within the context of the wives or the intimate partners of professional athletes, and for real, even now, the collegiate athletes, because they're making serious loot on the name, image, and likeness, right? So just because, and I'm just provoking thought, I don't want to get in discussion about this, but I'm one of those people that um, had my former husband gone pro, or when I was with my son's father, had he gone pro, like it was understood I'm going to work, not
Mhm.
because I have to, but because I want to. I've
Right.
never, ever, ever had an interest in being a housewife ever.
Right.
Like I have hopes, goals, dreams, and aspirations. And the way my brain work is, oh, you balling, you can fund my endeavors. So look, I
And
don't
and
have
you
to,
and,
I don't have to
and
take
I'm
out
glad.
those small business loans. My husband's wealthy. Keep them moving and do the darn thing.
And I'm glad you said that you want, and I think, I think it's also important too. And this is just, from my perspective. I think,
Mm-hmm.
I always tell, I think that one of the biggest things that I recognize in a lot of these newer, the millennials and the Gen Zers and their relationships and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot, is like you said, it's like kind of like the roles reverse.
Mm-hmm.
For me, if my family ever goes down bad, if we ever just like it just looks terrible, I can
Mm-hmm.
promise you, if you line 100 people in front of us, in front of me and my wife, and say who's at fault, 100 of them people are pointing at me. And I
Mm-hmm.
keep that in the back of my mind because as a man, and once again, we're not going to get too deep into this conversation, but I think as a man, I think there are certain principles, biological principles, that we have practiced for centuries.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes down to, can you provide and
Mm-hmm.
protect for your family?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think for women, can you nurture and provide what's given to you by your loved one for your
Mm-hmm.
family? Because
Mm-hmm.
once again, not to diminish, women's role in the workforce or anything like that. I think that's cool, everything and all that. If y'all want to work, hey, understand there's no balance in this work life shit. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Like whatever you are that day, whatever you have to be that day, that's what you have to be. If you got to
Mm-hmm.
be for you, if you got to be a therapist and not necessarily a wife or a mother that day, that's what
Mm-hmm.
that day demands. If the
Yeah.
next day you have to be more of a mother than a wife and a therapist, that's what that day demands.
Mm-hmm.
I think for men, I think we have to understand too. It's like, hey, yeah, I want to be at home chilling with my family now, but if I'm at
Mm-hmm.
home, I'm not making money.
Yeah. No, real talk. No, that's
Like
for
so,
real.
and once again, we're not going to, dive too deep into that because that's a whole
Yeah.
separate conversation. But, I think for the men out there, understand this. Like, you can be a lot of things in the world, and that's cool and
Mm-hmm.
whatnot. But what you cannot be is lazy. And you
Mm-hmm.
cannot point the finger at your
Mm-hmm.
wife or your loved one or
Mm-hmm.
whatever when things ain't working out, saying, well, what you not doing?
Right.
That's not being a man.
I want to
I'm so
use
that's
that
just me.
to segue to the sports, and we're going to play debunk the myth, y'all. I'll just be throwing Ronnie on the bus. I don't tell him some stuff until the last minute. So, one more thing before we start debunk the myth. Um, the segue to the sports piece is this, right? And you've talked about it all the time, literally on every show since we've been on the air, and that is as an athlete during the season in particular, your schedule is so demanding. So during the season, if you're playing at the collegiate level, your job is that sport. As a professional athlete, your job is that sport. So, there's an understanding that comes with that, right? Even at the high school level, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like I knew even at the high school level, like, yo, he's got practice and films and everything else. He's not getting home until 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night. I might get a phone call, good night, love you, but
That's
that
it.
was it. Traveling, right? And back, back in the day, we didn't have cell phones. So it was like if Andre's dad was traveling, he played for William and Mary. It's like if they were away, I knew that I would see him at the game on Saturday because I went to all his games, whether they were home or away. But during the week, the conversation was slim because it's all the job was the sport. Now, when
Right.
you transition to the professional realm, it's like the intensity right now. Ain't nobody think Swagoo said it. He said it on ESPN the other day. He said, this is the playoffs. He said, I ain't worried about my wife. He didn't mean it in a malicious way. I ain't worried about my wife. I ain't worried about my kids. I ain't worried about nothing else. I'm worried about winning this game and advancing. It's
Mhm.
tunnel vision, it's the focus. And you would think that there's an understanding about that. So I just wanted to put that out there from a clinical relational context. So debunk the
That's
myth.
real.
I'm gonna give you
That's
the
real.
myth in a minute and a half, 2 minutes or less, debunk the myth. Offense sells tickets, defense wins games and championships. I was gonna come out blazing.
I have to. Yes, I think we see that now in the NFL, especially the last few years, where yes, people want to see high scoring games. People don't want to see 10-7 or 14-10 games no more. Offense does sell tickets. But I think what we've also seen and is tried and true. If you go back and look at every Super Bowl team that's won the game. More times than not, two solid things must always remain: the ability to run the ball and the ability to have a solid defense that might bend but do not break. And very rarely do we ever see where a team just throws it up and down the field during the playoff run or a Super Bowl run and actually win. We've seen a lot of teams put up a lot of points, but because their defense can't hold water, they always lose. I.e., look at the Kansas City Chiefs before they finally broke through. Their defense, they could put up a lot of points with anybody, but their defense also gave up as many points as anybody. The moment they got Spagnuolo, I think it was Spagnuolo, D coordinator. As soon as they got him in there, got a couple key pieces. They got Tyrann Mathieu, they got another person, Chris Jones, and everything. Won the championship. So yes, offense does sell tickets, but yes, defense does win championships at the end of the day. If you don't have a solid defense that can, when you need it the absolute most, when you absolutely need it, and you also need a running back that can run the clock down when you got that lead. So yeah, I think that is true. I think that's very true.
Okay. Most games are won on the practice field.
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. The game, people don't understand that, and you'll hear this, it's kind of a cliche, but it's really true. Practice should always be harder than the actual game.
Wow.
If the game is harder than practice, you're not practicing hard enough.
Wow.
Now, what I mean by that is, obviously as you get later into the season, are you gonna be thumping and hitting and things like that as much as you were in preseason and stuff like that? Probably not, depending on your coach. Our coach didn't care if it was week 1 or week 14, we were out there thumping on Tuesdays and Wednesdays like we just started the season. So, to each his own. However, I can't stress enough, and I had to learn this the hard way. I can't stress enough how, if you really maximize your practice time, how much easier the game is on Saturday or Sunday, how much things slow down for you. Watching film. And it's not just practicing, it's perfect practice. Not perfect practice, but really, really good practice. Because you can go out there and practice, but you can practice bad habits too. So
that's good.
For me, like one of the things that, and I didn't really get good at this until like my final 2 years, but one of the things I really tried to get good at was like for each practice day, what was my objective during practice? So like, for example, Tuesdays was always kind of like our inside zone and, kind of our nitty gritty plays, like the, third and short, second and short type of plays and stuff
the
like
2-minute drills.
Well, we did that on Thursday. I used to love 2-minute Thursdays. That was so much fun. But even during those times, like for me, like if we were doing inside zone and stuff like that. So for me, I would focus on my technique on having to either reach a 3 technique or a nose guard, like what that looks like, and really practice my steps and stuff. So that way, when I got to the game, I'm not trying to figure out what step works best. I already have a couple tools in my belt to know what to use. For 2-minute Thursdays, I never forget, our coach used to always give us the most outlandish situations on Thursday. We was always down by 4, so we always had to get a touchdown. The most time we ever had was maybe a minute 30, minute 45.
Wow.
We all the way on our either 10-yard line, 15-yard line. We ain't never start past the 50. And you had to drive down the field and score. And if you didn't score, you had extra running after practice. So, but it really helped us hone in and focus on the little things. Practice is where you work on the little things, the things that actually matter. So
the stuff that can come back to bite you in the butt. You mean like making field goals?
And guess what? If a coach tell you something in practice and say, don't be surprised this happened on Saturday or Sunday, and it happened on Saturday or Sunday and you ain't ready for it,
it's a problem.
Best believe that next film session, he gonna be like, now I told y'all during the week, this is what happened. You would see this look. And look what y'all. Okay. Practice is really important.
The next one is controversial. athletes don't use steroids to help them perform better.
Well, we know that's true. We know there's athletes out there that use it. Now, I will say this. I think if steroids gave as much as an advantage as people think they do, I think more people would use them.
But they're illegal. Aren't they considered illegal though, Ronnie? Like
they're illegal.
When they get drug tested, they're looking for performance enhancement drugs, right?
They're looking for a little bit of everything
at the collegiate, at the NCAA level, and at the pro level.
Oh yeah, and so I think. I think steroids can help you, obviously put on more muscle. They can make you look more fit. They can get you in better shape and stuff like that. However, I think the higher levels you get, if you don't have the talent and just the ability to go out there and perform the job, doesn't matter how fast you are, how strong you are, how good you look, with a shirt on, with a shirt off, whatever the case may be. Like, yes, can steroids give you a more, maybe a physical advantage as being stronger, tougher, and stuff like that? Possibly. But at the end of the day, you got to go out there and perform. And I used a great example of Barry Bonds. I think we all know Barry Bonds was using, some type of performance enhancer. However, I don't think nobody who really knows baseball or really watches baseball would argue that from, I think, 1989 or 90, whenever he came into major leagues until he got to the San Francisco Giants, you could literally take his first 10 years in the MLB when he was with the Pittsburgh Pirates and stuff, and he was a Hall of Famer. Like a lot of people, and for those who don't believe me, go back and look at Barry Bonds in the 90s. Phenomenal outfielder, phenomenal hitter, could steal bases, was crafty, could hit, short field, midfield, was a phenomenal athlete. Now, when he got to San Francisco and he got older, did the steroids probably help him hit a few more home runs? Yeah, but I also think too, like, he was a phenomenal home run hitter. That was what he was good at. So I think it can make you a little bit better, but I think, the myth that steroids make you a Hall of Fame athlete, I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true at all.
Okay. Now the next one, and I'm like, I giggle, and it you tend to hear more about it with boxers, but athletes should abstain from sex before a big game or a match or a tournament?
So I've
keep it G. Keep it G.
I have heard about this numerous times.
He's looking for his G language, y'all. He's looking for his G language because right now he had triple X like a mud.
I'm a little blind.
He's looking for his G language. He's looking for his G reframe.
I'm looking for it. I don't see it anywhere. I think that is a very, 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 very subjective take.
Okay.
To each his own.
Okay.
I would like to think that getting a little relief prior to a game. There's been times where, went out there and I felt like a brand new man, I will say this. I don't think there was ever a point, if I participated in something like that, where I just went out there.
It impeded your play.
Yeah, like for me, I, now once again, I was not an Olympic athlete, a boxer, anything like that, where you need whatever they say you need from your all that good stuff. I don't think that's true.
Okay.
For me personally, maybe if we had a higher performing athlete who,
might disagree with you.
They might disagree, but I can't even in high school, like even in high school, the day of the game, I can't even, can't think, nope.
Okay. The quarterback is the most important position in football.
Yes, and I might be a little biased here.
I heard that the center is the most important position. That's what I heard. I had heard that the most important position is the center.
You need to keep that source around you then.
Because the quarterback would never get the ball if it wasn't for you.
All I know is now granted, now I will say this though. Quarterback is extremely important. I will not lie about that. It is extreme. Oh Lord, here we go. Quarterback is extremely important. I will agree to that. But I strongly believe without a solid offensive line, I don't care how good your quarterback is. I don't care how good your receivers are or your running back are. If you do not have an above average to great offensive line, your quarterback will not make it. But at the end of the day, when you need somebody out there who's going to make the final decisions and put the ball in the best people's hands and make the right decisions, is that important? Absolutely. But I think a lot of times linemen don't get the credit they deserve for how important our job is to make sure that the quarterback has enough time to make those decisions. Because just like when he walks up to the line, he's reading the defense and everything like that too. Those 5 men that break the huddle and walk up to the line, they're constantly talking. They're constantly communicating. I mean, all the way down to actually the snap. And then even after the snap, we're still expected to talk, communicate, and work as a tandem. Because if you don't have 5 people who are working together in unison like a synchronized swimming team, they get ugly out there. You know, so yes, quarterbacks are really important. They are. But if I'm being a little biased and rooting for my trench warfare out there, I think linemen are really important as well too. Like for example, like today, there's a team playing tonight at 8:15 who their line is a little not what it was at the beginning of the season. And we saw that because it wasn't like that at the beginning of the season that, their quarterback has been, doing a little bit more dancing and scrambling and stuff like that. So all I know is that the Giants have a D lineman who got first team All-Pro. If they can't account for him, it's going to be a very long night for Jalen Hurts and company. But that's all I'm saying. Jalen Hurts is a phenomenal quarterback. But if Jason Kelce and them got their hands full tonight. So we're gonna see how good, how important the quarterback is gonna be tonight. I'm just saying. Hey, Eric, how you doing, sir?
Hey, Ronnie Ransome, what's going on with you, man?
Nothing much, man. Just talking some good old sports myths, Nothing too crazy. Nothing too crazy, man.
All right. So I won't go sit here and let you, just talk trash on my team without me coming out and saying anything. I said, I have to get on. Wait a minute, what's going on here? So number one, Mr. Ransome, and if I'm off topic, excuse me, viewers. You said my team wasn't.
You got 90 seconds.
You said my team, they weren't good front runners. I'm only going to give you half a quotation. Right? And you say foolishness every week, Ronnie, I got to say. But this was going to happen tonight. We're going to beat the New York Giants, the New York Football Giants, and we're going to advance. That's it. That's all I got.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, husband. Now, provider, get back to work. Look, you heard what he said a few minutes ago. Get back to work, earning them provider donuts.
Absolutely. I'm out.
I got some stuff I need.
Amen.
All right, man. Appreciate you joining in, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I love you,
is going to win.
Say that again.
The team that wants it most is going to win.
I wanted to win every year. I wanted to win really bad.
I said the most. The team that wants it the most is going to win.
If I had it my way, shoot, I wanted to win the national championship every single year. I wanted it so bad. See, I always tell people there's a difference between motivation and discipline. Motivation is a feeling, discipline is behavior. Motivation can spark, a feeling that carries you over. But sometimes, you run into a situation where you can want something really, really bad, but if you do not have the action behind it, if sports was all about who wants it the most, everybody would get a participation trophy.
Right.
Professionals, collegiate, high school, everybody would get a participation trophy if it was about who wants it the most. I would like to think that if you are going to subject your body to playing sports, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, whatever the case may be, and want to be good at it, want to be successful at it, yeah, you probably do want it. And you probably in your mind believe you want it more than the other person across from you. But in the famous words of Mike Tyson, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Facts. Some people are just born with strong mental toughness.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think that was true. Okay.
I have a scientific explanation behind it? No. But there are just some people who are they're just wired differently. So
does that mean that athletes can't build and strengthen their mental toughness?
You can, absolutely you can.
Okay.
But I mean, like, I think mental toughness is no different than talent. Some people have it. Like for me, like I wasn't a guy. I always tell people, me and my sister were completely different. Like I knew I wasn't the most talented person on a football field. So I knew I had to work extremely hard to just be half as good as some of the people out there. My sister, on the other hand, I mean, she could watch somebody do something one time and she had it. And it wasn't even like my sister just had God-given talent that you do not see at all. Like, I mean, I'm not saying at all, like, but she was
rare,
just,
is what you're saying.
She was supremely gifted with athletic ability. And it used to piss me off so much because like I had to work. Like I had to really, I was not the most coordinated person, the most hardworking. I mean, not she, on the other hand, could wake up and figure out something and just be like, all right, cool, I'm good to go. And I'm just like,
wow. How'd she do it?
Ah. So yeah, I think, some people just got it.
You don't have to enjoy the sport to be successful.
I disagree with that. I think you don't have to be in love with it all the time. I had a love-hate relationship with football. At the end of the day, like football will always be my first love, I'll tell people, despite the injuries, everything that happened, would I do it all over again blindfoldly? Absolutely. With 1,000% confirmation, I will hop my ass back out there on the football field and do what I got to do. But did I love everything about it? Absolutely not. Like, oh my God, what?
Okay.
Some of the winter workouts we was doing was just inhumane some mornings. Like, it's 15 degrees outside. We out here with t-shirts and shorts running up and down on a, I remember, I kid you not.
T-shirt and your panties on.
If anybody's ever been on Virginia State's campus, you know this. Like, our old track used to be orange. Like the old track used to be orange. I kid you not. We will be out there some mornings for winter workouts. The track was white with ice.
Oh gosh.
The entire track. And we out there ice skating, trying to run 100-yard sprints and everything. I always tell people this. If your heart is not in it, you set yourself up to get hurt. And I'm not just talking emotionally hurt either. So
yeah, I think that when you enjoy it, it'll be instrumental in helping you to go further in your performance and overall productivity.
So what are you doing it for at that point?
Right. Like you don't have nothing else better to do to get beat up every week and then put your body through hell. That makes sense.
And if you're not a professional, really what the hell are you doing it for if your heart ain't in it? Like, why?
Right. I'm gonna get a couple more in because we're out of time, but I want to get a couple more in because I just think it's a fun topic.
Go ahead.
More training leads to a better mental and physical performance. I'll
say 60-40 yes and no. Can you yes, the more you train and stuff like that, does that give you an advantage? And I know a lot of people think, like Kobe Bryant's Mamba mentality and stuff like that. Absolutely. The more you train and the more you prepare, can that help you? Absolutely. But I think also, as much as training and preparing I think you also have the adequate rest and the adequate, refueling, the adequate, time off to give your body a rest. Because yes, can you overwork your body? Yeah, I think, not to go too deep into it, but I think that's what we're seeing a lot now with a lot of these, these younger kids who like play, for example, basketball. A lot of these kids, if they make it to the NBA, a lot of these times by the time they're 22, 23, their knees are shot because they literally play basketball all year round on a hardwood court all year round from the age of 5, 6 all the way through 18, 19. Yeah, so I think everything is good in moderation. Yes, you can work your butt off, work out 4 or 5 times a day, but if you're not getting adequate rest, if you're not refueling your body, if you're not taking care of your body outside of the gym or the football field or whatever the case may be, it can be a detriment.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say, is that research shows that excessive training can lead to injuries, inefficient work, and ultimate decline in mental and athletic performance. So that's a big one for people to be mindful of. Give you 2 more. I want to switch and ask you a couple about nutrition, and then you can wrap us up and close us out. Simple carbs are bad.
Hell no. Hell no. No. Look, I don't care if you play a sport, work at a 9-to-5 office job in a cubicle. Carbs are not bad. Can we please stop with this tomfoolery that carbs are bad? Look, once again, like, is too much of something bad? Absolutely. But now look, I am no nutritionist or dietitian in any slight of the imagination, but with being a big person all my life and being an athlete for half my life, I do know my way around a little bit around nutrition. Everything is good in moderation. Even that greasy McDonald's McDouble is good in moderation. Once again, now the real culprit in carbs is sugar. That's the. Can
I add to that? Finish your thought, and then I want to say something about that. Go ahead.
So the real culprit is processed sugars and unnatural sugars. That's the real culprit in carbs. But carbs itself, are they bad? Hey, look, you know what my pregame meal was in college for 4 years before the game? Big old plate of spaghetti, a piece of bread on the side, some chicken, and then I might have me a little piece of cake. I might slide me a little piece of cake in there just for, a little sweet or whatever, just give me a little egg. But a big old plate of spaghetti. I mean, a big old plate. What?
Wow. So the nutritional research says that carbohydrate is by far the preferred currency of energy by the body. They're easily broken down and provide energy to the working bodies quickly. While it's recommended that we mainly include complex carbohydrates in our diets, there are some situations where simple sugar is ideal. And then the other part is that simple carbs also have a key role to play in recovery. Immediately post-training, when blood sugar is low and glycogen stores depleted, having some easily digestible carbohydrate will raise insulin and allow the body to replace carbohydrate quickly into the body.
Eat them carbs, y'all. Eat them carbs. Hell wrong with you.
Athletes should avoid caffeine.
I don't know why. Now I will say this though. I used to be one of them ignorant little fools that thought that you could take a 5-hour energy before a game and it will work. So my opinion on this one might not be the best one, because honestly, I was actually having this conversation with somebody a few weeks ago. Caffeine don't do to me what I think caffeine should do to the rest of the world, if that makes sense. Like, for example, and I have tried this more times than not. I could make myself a coffee at like 8, 9 o'clock at night. I could drink it, and if let's say if I drink at 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and I said I'm going to sleep at 11, I'm going to sleep at 11. I'm not one of them people. So why do they say you shouldn't have caffeine as an athlete or before a game? Like, was there a correlating behind it?
It just says that, well, to your point, it says there are many athletes who believe caffeine should be avoided entirely. Consumed to excess, caffeine can cause jitters and other issues, but a reasonable amount is absolutely fine and can even give performance benefits. So there is some research that shows that caffeine can be really useful in performance. Science has shown that a value of 1 to 3 milligrams per kilograms of body weight 30 minutes prior to training or towards the last 20 minutes of competition can help to reduce the perceived exertion and fatigue. Okay.
Now I will
So
say this though.
Mhm.
I think I will say this because I think this is very subjective depending on one's cardiovascular health and stuff like that. What I'm not saying is you should go out there and chug a whole bunch of Monsters, Red Bulls, and stuff like that before a game or anything like that, because there are plenty of research, there's plenty of reports out there of people drinking a Monster or a Red Bull or something like that prior to going to work, game or something like that. And they suffer some type of cardiac arrest, some type of heart attack or something because caffeine, yes, but you also got to think like a lot of these energy drinks and sports drinks is not just caffeine that's fueling it. You got taurine, you got guarine, you got all these other natural caffeine supplements that, hey, look, I always tell people, they say what they're putting in there is healthy and stuff for you, but I mean, if you do your own research and stuff like that, you'll realize that a lot of these ingredients and a lot of these things, I don't think caffeine is a culprit as much as the other stuff that go along with the drinks and things that people consume. So, I mean,
I got 3 more, and you'll appreciate these. Fat makes you fat.
No, I would disagree with that. Protein can make you fat. Carbs can make you fat. I think now I can touch on this topic because I got plenty of experience. Now I've been a fat person my entire life. All right. So the one thing I will say is though, I can't sit there and say fat is the reason I've been fat my entire life. Overeating is the reason I've been big my entire life, and it wasn't
Healthy
just
plate.
fat. Yeah,
But they call it hand-to-mouth disease.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, my curl game is strong with the fork and everything, just real strong, so, but no, I don't think fat makes you fat. Now, can too much fat make you fat? I think in that case, fat will be the least of your concerns if you eat that much fat,
Right.
Heart attack, stroke, I think those would be your biggest concerns.
So this is what the research says. Like carbohydrates, fats have got an unfairly bad reputation, thanks in part to the low-fat diet trend of the 90s and the early 2000s. But healthy fats are an essential part of a positive diet, promoting healthy joints, skin, hair, and more. Fats are also key for endurance. We actually need to include essential fats such as nuts, seeds, avocados, oils, and oily fish in order to absorb fat-soluble vitamins such as D and E, which are really important for endurance athletes. Okay, cool. Slimmer equals faster.
Maybe in horseback riding, the smaller you are, the faster your horse goes.
Yeah, it's awesome. Those
are the real athletes, is the horses, not the horse riders.
So many athletes seeking to emulate an elite body type can end up impairing and performance in the process. There's a very fine line regarding weight and performance. Lighter doesn't always make you faster. If you push the body too far to a point where it loses muscle mass over body fat, you not only lose power, but also speed.
You know who's a great comparison for this?
I'm listening.
Bo Jackson and Deion Sanders. They both ran around the same 40 time. Bo Jackson probably got about 60 pounds on Deion in their prime.
Wow.
And I mean,
and they still did it.
Hey, they say Bo Jackson ran like a 4.19, something like that. Deion ran a 4.12. The fact that they both ran a 4.1, one person about 220, 230, the other one's about $170, $180. Hey.
Okay. So then the research says it's important to fuel properly for the activity you're doing. If you put the body in too big a deficit, it goes into compensatory behaviors, meaning that the body starts to downregulate biological processes, a bit like a smartphone on low battery. If you push your body too far below where it is optimal for you, it will not be sustainable and will have negative consequences to both health and performance. That's all I got, Ronnie. That was a fun.
Hey, look, I was fast. I'm faster than a lot of skinny people too. It's like people think,
Wow.
my size and everything. Hey, look, all right. The first 10 yards though, after 10 yards, it's fair game. I'm like an alligator. I'm quick within a short distance. After that, it's gonna take a while. Hey, grizzly bears are like almost 800, 900 pounds and can run 35 miles an hour.
Yeah, they will catch you.
They can run 100 yards in 8 seconds.
Really? That's why they tell you don't run from them. Just stand there and let them eat you.
Yo, can you see something that big running 100 yards in 8 seconds?
Look, let me tell you why I would be dinner. Because if I turn around and see a grizzly bear, I'm going to faint. I'm an easy meal. He don't even have to work for me. All you gotta do is eat because I'm gone.
Man, hey, look, you see a grizzly bear, they about 150, 200 yards out. You like, I got it. You start jogging. You turn around, you like, oh.
And he's like this.
So yeah, just because you smaller don't mean you run faster.
No, indeed. All right, Ronnie, close this out. Say something slick. Go ahead. I know you got it in you.
Well, I'll end with my predictions for this week's divisional round. So the first game we have Kansas City versus Jacksonville. I think that'll be an entertaining game. I don't think Trevor Lawrence will throw 4 interceptions.
You don't think Sunshine gonna do it? Sunshine.
I think he'll keep. I will say this. I think Jacksonville is not as scared of Kansas City as probably people think they would be. Once again, I think Kansas City's biggest Achilles heel this year again is their defense. They don't have Tyrann Mathieu on the defense no more. They've been decent, but there's still some very stark concerns that they have in the secondary and as a defense. So and Jacksonville has a hell of a squad on offense. Like
I know.
People really look at their offense, like their offense is not a slouch. Oh yeah,
I'm aware.
We're aware. So I have Kansas City winning a relatively closer ball game than people think. I have Kansas City winning 31-20. I think Kansas City will pull away in the second half. Then the night game, we have the Eagles and the Giants. And, I have said this before the show, during the show, and I'll say it after the show. I think the Eagles are trending down. I think they peaked way too early in the season. I think, yes, people can sit there and say Jalen Hurts getting injured and whatnot was a factor in all that. Cool. It wasn't just Jalen Hurts. They've lost a couple linemen. They've had a couple injuries on defense. And their defense has not been the same in a long time. They had a couple key injuries on defense. They had the boy Davis from Georgia. He was a rookie. He's 6'6", 350 in the middle of defensive line. I mean, who's moving him? You didn't have him for a while. So, and I think the Giants are playing on house money. I think the Giants really have hey, we ain't even supposed to be here right now. But here we are. I think if Daniel Jones does not turn the ball over, I think if Daniel Jones can continue to play the game he's been playing, where if he doesn't see it to throw it, hey, use your legs. You're good at that. I think I have the Giants winning 27-24 in a very, very close ball game. I have the Giants winning 27-24. Then we have our first game tomorrow, Bills versus Bengals. I think that will be the most entertaining game of the weekend. I think that will be the game of the weekend. For all of us, we know a month ago, unfortunately, the game didn't get to see its fruition and come to an end and whatnot.
He's doing really well.
He is. Yes, he's doing really well. So I think barring any unforeseen incidents like that happening again, we get to see the full game. I like the Bengals in a close one. I have the Bengals winning, I say 30-24, 30-27. I got the Bengals winning by at least less than a touchdown. I think that'd be a really good game. The thing to watch in that game is, though, the Bengals are down 3 starting offensive linemen. So
they did say that yesterday.
They're down 3 starting offensive linemen, but we also saw last year in the divisional round when they played Tennessee, they gave up 9 sacks in the game and still won. So, now Buffalo has a way better offense than Tennessee. So if the Bengals give up 9 sacks today, I don't like their chances. But also to the flip side, Josh Allen has the turnover bug, So that's something I think that'd be a good game. And then last but not least, we have the 49ers and the Cowboys. Dallas is on cloud 9 right now because they finally won a road playoff game since before I was even born, literally. So I will say this, and Dr. Piss knows I like to, go back and forth with her about her illustrious team and everything. If Dallas can control the ball, run the ball, and Dak not turn the ball over, I think the Cowboys have a really, really, really good chance. Really, really good chance. On the other side, if Brock Purdy wakes up tomorrow morning and realizes that he's a rookie quarterback, the last pick in the most recent draft, and a third-string quarterback playing in an NFC divisional playoff game, and he gets absolutely scared, Dallas has a chance. I think what we've seen in San Francisco is not really so much who the quarterback is, it's the system. They have a phenomenal offensive system that at this point you can plug and play a quarterback. Now, I will say this also for San Francisco. If Brock Purdy, if you leave it in Brock Purdy's hands to win the game, I don't like their chances. I think if they can get a lead and get him comfortable and get Christian McCaffrey going and stuff like that, I think it makes the game easier for Brock Purdy. But if San Francisco comes out and finds himself maybe tied, down 7, down 10, deep in the third quarter, early fourth quarter, and everybody turns to Brock Purdy and say, all right, well, deliver us to the championship, I think San Francisco might find that a taller task than they probably assumed. So with all that being said, I have San Francisco winning a close ball game. I have San Francisco winning, I'll give it 35-28 or 35-31. I think it'll be a lot closer game than people think. I think Dallas will make it really competitive. I told Dr. Piss, I said this. If Dallas wins, whoever wins this game tomorrow will represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. I think the Eagles and Giants are irrelevant at this point. I think both of them are just there because they're the other final 4 teams in the NFC. So I think they're just there to be there. Whoever wins between the Cowboys and 49ers will represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. But I do have San Francisco winning at least 35-28. So yeah, we'll see.
So before you tell folks goodbye, my mommy's birthday is Thursday. Happy birthday early, Paulette Lillian Pitts. My mommy's gonna be 76 next Thursday. Yay!
My fellow Aquarian.
Happy birthday, mommy. Happy birthday.
Way to represent us Aquarians out there.
Happy birthday. Look, the gift be on the step. There's the moment. I got pride. It was on pride.
Man. Great show. This was a great show. I had fun today. This was really fun.
Good stuff. The myths.
So look, y'all, thank you for checking in with us. As always, catch us back here next week, same time, same place. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, MySpace, LinkedIn, everywhere that we know we're supposed to be. Hope y'all have a beautiful and prosperous weekend, and we'll check back in next week.
All right. Bye, everybody.